Good morning to everyone. I welcome you to this 2-week online program for women translators from 18th May to June 1st. Today's speaker is none other than Dr. Basanta Kumar Choudhury.
Yeah.
He is former reader and head of the Department of Botany, postgraduate, Dhenakal College, Odisha. He is the editor of Diganta DST, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. He has vast experience, more than 40 years teaching experience and 20 years research experience at his credit. His specializations are plant pathology, microbiology, biochemistry, and biotechnology. He has more than 100 publications in various newspapers and magazines of Odia and English. And he has 30 international journal publications of different natures of above said specialization. And he is a continuous writer and also reviewer of textbooks from class 4th to PG level. He has guided 7 PhD scholars and also translated many books, among them one book, HIV AIDS book, 3 books for open school subject biology, and National Translation Mission voluminous books, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3 of college botany books at his credit, and also National Award winner for essay writing. We welcome you, sir, for this session. We are very grateful to you for accepting our invitation, and here we are, sir.
Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. My topic is needs and perspective of translating non-literary textbooks in vernacular languages. So thank you, everybody, and mainly Translation Mission for giving me this opportunity. My topic is need and perspective. First of all, I will tell you about translation briefly, then needs and perspectives I will tell you. Man is a social animal. We live in societies. When we live in society, we communicate. We communicate our needs in form of our formal languages or in the writing on the piece of papers. That means we express our, we translate our thoughts and the ideas in form of scripts or in speech. That means we translate our ideas. So this is the basic, translation is the basic feature, basic to make, keep us in the society. That is very basic necessity, innate entity with us. So let me tell you briefly about translation. Translation is derived from the Latin words trans and loton. Together the meaning is carrying across or bringing across or to convey. If you will expand it to some extent, translation is the process of carrying across a message, a written content from one text to other, or from one person to another, or from one language to other languages. Explaining it to a little. Oxford University Press defines the translation means process of converting words or text from one language to another. I told you we have discussed just bringing across or carrying across or to convey. So Oxford University Press defines it. Translation means process of converting words or text from one language to another. Translated text is called the source language, SL, or source text, and language to which it is converted, it is or communicated, it is called the target language, TL and SL. When source text and or source language or translated text or language are alike in form, then it retains the formal equivalence. Formal equivalence means this is a literally word-to-word translation. Word-to-word translation. The goal is to stay as close to the original as possible. That is the formal equivalence. On the other hand, when source text and target text convey the same sense or perform the same function, or though they have formal difference, then translation have functional equivalence. Formal equivalence and functional equivalence, and the translator here understands the concept of the language and finds a way to express so that the same meaning is conveyed. Here I will explain you just in the life, very basis of life we are translating. How we are translating? I am a biologist. I will tell you from the biological point of view how translation is occurring. We know the fundamental structural and functional unit of life is cell. In the cell, what is the carrier of our fundamental, that structural and functional chromosomes, we say. In the chromosomes are made up of DNA or RNA, DNH. And DNA is the ultimate unit, ultimate molecule, fundamental molecule of life. DNA, RNA, protein. These three things are very vital. DNA, RNA are the nucleic acid that carry all the messages from the parents to the offspring. The inheritance goes on, heredity goes on in this way from parents to the offsprings. So in this DNA, three works. DNA does many works, but three very important work is done by DNA. None other molecule, none other thing in the life can do it. That is the replication, transcription and translation. You see, biologist, geneticist, biotechnologist, cell biologist, everybody say use translation. That your mission is there. That is replication, transcription, translation. These three things we do in translation actually. I have told you functional equivalence and the functional equivalence and formal equivalence. You see, DNA, everybody knows DNA is present in the nucleus. DNA is present in the nucleus. DNA, everything is determined. Cell, number of cells combined together form tissue. Tissues make organs. Makes organ systems, and organ system makes an organism. We humans, we have organ systems. We have our organs. We have tissues. We have cells, like that. So cells is the ultimate, the structural and functional unit of life. So in that cell there are DNAs. DNA replicate. Replicate means, replication means, that is formal translation, what we formal equivalence. A copy is to be made. Replication, exact copy of. I am not going to the details. Replication means DNA makes another DNA. DNA can make another DNA. So that is replication. That what we say here are the formal equivalence. Formal equivalence in translation. You see in the life, the very basis of life, there is translation. That is first replication. Replication. DNA molecule, DNA molecule, DNA molecule, so many DNA molecules are there, they aggregate together, they make 23 pairs of chromosomes and life goes on in human beings. That is the life in the human beings. Replication. That is the formal translation, formal equivalence. Formal. If any mistake in the copy, it has to stay as close as necessary. That I have to define the formal translation. So it always is exact copy. If any deviation, then there will be deleterious effects. There will be very hazardous effects. Maybe some congenital diseases, some inborn diseases, which are hereditary diseases, may be carried out. Hemophilia, night blindness, that is, so many diseases are there, hereditary diseases. So any mistake there will be translated, will be reflected in the next generation. So that is to be faithfully to be copied. So that is formal translation. But the other thing is DNA makes RNA, RNA makes proteins. So when DNA makes RNA, we say it transcription. Transcription in Odia, we say it anulekhana. Anulekhana, we also transcript. Translation, you must be saying that translation when you are translating, it is not exact copy. So translation means, transcription means complementary copy. Some the formal translation and other thing I have told you, the functional translation, functional equivalence. Functional equivalence means message language of the DNA. Language of the DNA is to be translated in the language of proteins. So DNA sends message. DNA remains inside nucleus. DNA sends message to RNA. We call it mRNA. Messenger RNA sends message, and that message is passes on to the cytoplasm into our cytoplasm, and there it is translated. That process we call the translation, translated in the language of proteins. So language of DNA is translated into the language of proteins. Language of DNA, that is that process we say translation process. That is a very long process, and it takes on without any check, wherever necessary, that is being taken on, carried on throughout our life. So translation is very much there in our nucleus, in our, that is vital fundamental unit of our life, that is in DNA, RNA and protein. Protein means protein molecule does all work. Protein molecules does all work inside our body. So that is the functional molecule. We say proteins are the functional molecules that carries out all the functions. So this is the formal equivalence and functional equivalence. Formal equivalence is just a replication. DNA makes DNA is functional, that is formal equivalence. And when DNA makes protein, that is translation. That is the functional equivalence. Then we will go to the next slide. That is, there are 4 types of translation. Mainly, we can say broadly, we can say literary and non-literary translation. But that can be subdivided into so many types. Conveniently, I have brought literary translation, professional translation, technical translation, administrative translation. These are the 4 types of translation that I have categorized. Later on, I will tell you many types of translations are there when I will tell you the prospective of translation. So, literary translation. What is literary translation? Literary translation, this type of translation is all about the translating literary works like stories, poems, plays, etc. A translator here needs to know the meaning of the words right. He has to know the meaning of the words right, and also the context and sound and feeling behind those words. So a translator here needs to know the meaning of the words, right? Also the context, sound and feeling behind the words. By this, one should know the culture of both languages well enough to translate the humor, emotions and any type of similar pieces of elements. That means he should have extensive knowledge and experience. I will cite one example. One example from Odia, because the participants, the trainees are from Odisha. They know Odia, so that I will come always to Odia language. There was a history book once written by our textbook bureau. Here is a press, government press, that prints. The history books are written in English as well as Odia, because there are many humanities students who can follow Odia well. Here, there is a word in the freedom movement, you must have heard. Charamapanthi, Naramapanthi. Charamapanthi, Naramapanthi. So, somehow or other, in English it was written extremists. Extremists. When that was written in Odia, Charamapanthi likhiva katha, one should write Charamapanthi, but by mistake, by just inadvertently, somebody has written Santrasavadi. Santrasavadi. It can have various meaning. Ugrapanthi, Charamapanthi, Ugravadi. It can be written. But so that's why when literal translation is being done, literary translation is being done, it should be, one should understand the feeling. One should understand the context behind those words. They were freedom fighters, so we can't write them Santrasavadi. So when it was written Santrasavadi, it was somehow or other 3 years it was in the syllabus. Students were reading. They are appearing in exams. Some or other, somebody pointed it out. And what happened? Those poor writers, their salary was stopped by the government. So when we are making literal translations, we have to feel, we have enough knowledge, expertise over it, so that we can write. We are writing a poem, translating a poem. That means what is the meaning behind it? Very difficult. So that is literary translation. And all the rest comes under non-literal translation. Professional translation, that comes under non-literal. Here main goal is usually to get all information translated accurately as possible. It should be accurate. For example, what can be the professional translation examples? But the words in the legal words, medical words, that should be it should be very it strives for accuracy. It should be very accurate. Any deviation have very adverse effect. For example, I am giving you one example how any mistake, any slight change may affect. We are told, all of us take antacids. Antacids, all of us take. Antacid because our stomach secretes one type of acid, that is hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid is secreted in stomach, but stomach is not digested by hydrochloric acid because it has a mucous lining. So when we are before food, we have to take. Somebody writes after, somebody says after food. It won't benefit you. So before food you have to take, because before food your stomach is empty. Our stomach is empty, and there are a lot of acids, hydrochloric acids. Antacid, because you have extreme acidity, more acidity, you take antacid. So before meal you have to take antacid so that it will have benefit for you. Or else, if you want, you will take after meal, then it won't, because your stomach is full, So acid is, you want to neutralize the acid, but the acid is very necessary during that time, because to digest your food, acids, enzymes, mucus, etc. So many things are secreted, and blood vessels become overactive when we take our food. So that's why after food one. So in medical also, it is professional translation. Medical words is to be translated, means it should be very sincerely, accurately to be translated. There are also technical translations. Technical translation, mainly technical translations are engineering documents, you know, but now the Government of India is implementing one project that all engineering colleges, it should be taught in mother tongue. But technical words will be intact there. So engineering documents, instrumentation, instruction manuals, we use so many instruments in our laboratories. There are user guides. In household goods, you run so many things. So user guides, technical training. So all these purposes, the technical translation is necessary. Translator must understand the topic well. He has to understand. He should be conversant. I will give one example. Some or other, we know something about biotechnology. Once a biotechnology book in Odia was written. A small book was written for 40-45 pages. First biotech company. Now there are hundreds of biotech companies. If you go to Bangalore, there are so many biotech companies all over the world. There are thousands of biotech companies, because biotech is the most prospective science nowadays. So biotechnology, a small book was written. I edited that book. Some or other first biotech company came up in 1970s or 80s. I have forgotten the date. It came up first biotech company, that was Genentech biotech company. When I reviewed it, I wrote it Genentech. But after the review, the book went to the language expert, because I am not that expert in Odia language. So it went to the language expert. Language expert is very much conversant with the word genetic. Very much conversant with the word genetic. He thought that reviewer might have made a mistake. He has written Genentech. So he wrote it again genetic. First biotech company is genetic. I went abroad. When I came back, I saw that in the book it is written genetic. Genentech and genetic. There are a lot of differences. Genetics is a branch of science, biological science, but Genentech is a biotech company located in America. So it should be the one who translates technical, makes technical translation. He should understand the topic well to ensure they can tell user what they should do accurately, what they should do. Supposing user manual we are using, what we are actually doing, what we are instructing how to operate. So one washing machine, maybe a microwave oven, how to operate it. That is user manual. So user manual. So all these things, a technical translator has to translate. If user manual will be translated in Odia, very easy to handle. Everybody can handle it. Then administrative translation. Administrative translation is a type used for documents and management text of organizations like corporations, regional businesses, etc. For these things, administrative purposes, in our state also there is an administrative glossary. We are trying to translate every the file in Odia, to write files in Odia. So there are certain administrative words that is to be translated. So these are the 4 types I am telling you. These 3 are non-literary translation. My topic is non-literary translation. So who can be a translator? Who can be a translator? Besides having expertise over the language, the translator should have flair of writing in the target language. In Odia, if I can know Odia, I can write it. Should be familiar with terms of target language. Terms one should be very familiar. So supposing somebody tells me to write in Hindi, I can't write. Because in Odia I can write. So I was a editor in one science magazine. I met many people who are Odia people. I met them. You can write. They have written. So we are just expressing in form of writing that the write up I can do. In translating non-literal subjects, he should be adapted with technical words. There are so many technical words will crop up. So one should understand, supposing photosynthesis. Very simple word, photosynthesis, technical word. What should be right? When we are reading in schools, photosynthesis, Odia words, it is also developing. Translation is a process of evolution. When we are reading in schools, and photosynthesis we are writing Angara Atmikarana, because carbon dioxide is assimilated. That's why it was word meaning was taken. The action making, what is the being done? Angara Atmikarana. It was written. But later on, when I came to the colleges, it was substituted by the word Vasresana. Vasresana. Va means light. So Vasresana. Synthesis. Sresana. So Vasresana. It was written for some time. But people felt that it is better Sresana. Alava Sresana is a better word. Everybody can understand that light is being synthesized. Light energy is being converted to chemical energy. So one can easily understand that. That's why it was nowadays the word is changed, and every book written in Odia, it is written in as Aloko Sresana. In translating non-literal subjects, one should adapt with the technical words, should have a very good glossary, English to Odia, English to any language, to language, target language you are translating, a bilingual dictionary, a smartphone, lot of information can be obtained from the smartphone, also an Odia Abhidhana. Odia Abhidhana, when we are translating Odia Abhidhana, so the word I am writing, perfect spelling is correct or not, you can verify. So these things are necessary. A translator should be endowed with following qualities. These qualities: understanding original text and translating language. He should understand that. He should have technical expertise, use right tools, and focus on creativity. I will give one example. Focus on creativity. I will give from my life science and from the a very common word. We very common word use in the Odisha, that is the logo in Odisha, tourism. That is scenic, serene, sublime. Scenic. I was in Edinburgh, I saw it is written in Odisha, scenic, serene, and sublime. These were written. What can be the very good Odia translation of it? I have checked so many dictionaries, English to Odia. I found scenic, Odia will be very good. Odia will be Sundar. सौंदर्यमय न लिखी सुंदर लिखले भला हबो सुंदर. Scenic, serene. So you can take the dictionary, English to Odia dictionary, you will find Prasanta. But I thought it is better to write Shanta. Shanta, Prasanta, okay. Sublime. What can be the Odia word of it? Sublime means he is in sublime touch. We see cricket match, Somebody is only 20-20 match and scoring 6s and 4s. So the man says that he is in sublime trust, means Mohiyan. He is in its top gear. So Odia will be, to me, is Suddha, Suddha, Sundar, Santa, Suddha. This is though it is scenic, serene, sublime, will be Sundar, Santa, Suddha. But I want to change. One should have creativity. Shanta, Suddha, Sundara. Shanta, Suddha, Sundara. So it will be better to write in this way. English may be written in that way, but we can change. We should have creativity. Plants, we use. Another example I am giving from life science, plants. English word very okay. Yeah, plants, everywhere we can use plant. Plant. Somehow also we write trees. What can be its Odia? Gacha, Gachalata, Prukhyalata, Udvida, Padapa, so many words. So where to use what? ଆମେ ବର ପାଦପ ଲେଖିପାରିବାନି, ବର ଉଦ୍ଭିଦ ଲେଖିପାରିବାନି, ବର ଗଛ ଲେଖିବା, ବର ଗଛ. So one should have be creative. One should be feeling that it is okay. Writing that word will be okay. So when he is writing here, he should feel that the word I am using, I have very bad. People are writing very word translation, literary translation. It is not there. Padapa, darkar nahi, not necessary. You can write very safely. Many places you can use udvida, but bara udvida, chakunda udvida, eguda lekhiya bara gacha, chakunda gacha. We can say there we can use the bruksha, bata bruksha. Out here bhal kiri kahile bata bruksha kahiba. So when and how? Ame kohuchu well water कोठी कहवा कूओ पानी कोठी कहवा कूप जल यदि कूप कहवा तले जल कहवा कूओ कहले पानी कहवा यदि बट कहवा वृक्ष कहवा बट गछ कहले लिखले अभाग्या माने it won't be better. So one should be very creative and it should apply his mind always. That my point is tell you needs for translation for non-literary subjects. What are the needs for textbooks? Textbook translation. What is the need for textbook translation? There are I can cite many examples from my experience. Past experience. I am to tell you. Everywhere I used to tell it. There is a social dogma. There is a social dogma that for a girl child, mother is responsible. Always say, people say mother is responsible. That is a social dogma all through. And when we read biology in higher classes, I have not read in pre-university stages or first year stages. In degree stages, I read when sex determination. We read that there are some sex chromosomes are there. There are one pair of sex chromosomes. Female is XX, male is XY. Pair of sex chromosomes that is responsible for determination of sex, whether it will be a male child, whether a female child will be born. That is, so when there is gamete formation, the X chromosome of father only when fertilizes, mother has always X chromosome because she has XX. You know, meiosis, haploid, X, one egg is to be produced, and with one egg, when from the father, from the male partner, X chromosome is contributed, a female child will be born. When Y chromosome is contributed, a male child is to be born. So who is responsible? Father is responsible. Father's chromosome is responsible. Father's sex chromosome is responsible because he is contributing X chromosome. Not mother. Mother always contributes X chromosome. Her egg has always X chromosome, but the father has always either he has X chromosome or Y chromosome. There are 50-50 chance, so there is a chance occurrence. So that is we say that is the God given, that is natural. Whether it will be XX or XY, fusion of XX or XY. So this thing we read in degree stages when we read biology. But in the early part of this 21st century, Honorable Supreme Court had a judgment that general studies is to be taught to the students in all levels, right from the higher secondary to degree level. Everywhere one has to read general studies. There is a chapter, population explosion, why population is growing. So in this chapter there is also determination of sex. Who is responsible? It has been written in Odia that father sex chromosome is responsible for the birth of a female child, not mother's female chromosome. So mother is not responsible. She should not be made the scapegoat. So that was being conveyed, and when this was conveyed, that there is that dogma is gradually removing. Likewise, say that again I will tell you from that general studies when that was taught. We know about now what is the root of every problem nowadays everywhere in India or in all over the world. Population explosion. Population is growing in very fast. But now the good message has come. But we know that birth and death, this earth has a carrying capacity. It can carry up to certain number of individuals, not more than that. So we have to regulate the population. Population is to be regulated. Population explosion is to be regulated. How? That we have to achieve the replenishment level. That if 2.1 is the replenishment level, that the birth and the death will be equal. So that is 2.1, and now all over India that replenishment level has nearly achieved. That is due to the translation of the books, the science books, general knowledge books, general studies book to Odia. When it was taught in Odia, people could understand. When something is told in your mother tongue, in our mother tongue, we can understand it in a better way than teaching in English. So in mother tongue, we read it, we could feel the problem, and now the population is nearly being controlled, and the male-female ratio is now approaching equal. So that is a very good news. And very recent, I will give you what in textbook, translation is a textbook is very essential. Very essential. Why? I will tell you. That is the need for translation of non-literary, that is textbooks. What is the need? Nowadays, we are in the midst of a pandemic. That was a disaster up to the last month. Central government declared last month 30th disaster. The regulation has been withdrawn. So we were in a national disaster. We are in a pandemic all over the world. Nearly more than 221 nations are suffering from one disease, invisible virus. And you must be knowing, you must be reading newspapers that there was a fast wave of COVID-19. Then there was second wave, there was third wave. Now we are in the midst of a fourth wave. Odisha, India is in the midst of the fourth wave. First wave, you must have. I am just telling you. First wave, you didn't hear about variants like Delta, like Omicron. You didn't hear about all these words. Because why? One should be very understand the thing. If you understand the COVID-19. I can tell you, I can assure you, 50% of your disease is controlled. If you can understand COVID-19, if you can understand the virus, that 50% of COVID or any virus disease is avoided. You can see it. You can see it. You can see it with a microscope. You can see it. You can see it with the electron microscope. You can only see the image of it in your monitor. You can only see the image of it in electron microscope. You can't see. So invisible. So invisible. Measured in millimicrons. Millimicrons. So it cannot be seen. Invisible enemy. So there are so many viruses, so many flus. It is a type of flu. The COVID-19 is a type of flu. First phase, there are no variants. No variants. You must be hearing words like variants. Variants. Second wave. Many people in India, thousands and hundreds of people of India died during the second phase of COVID-19. You must have remembered. You must have passed through. We have seen lockdowns. We have seen curfews. We have seen shutdowns. We have seen so many things which we will never see in the life. It is a lifetime experience. But many people died during the second variant, that is Delta. Third wave is due to Omicron. Yes. What is that variant? In Odia, I read in newspapers. Variant Odia is written Prajati. Prajati koda word goটা লেখিদেলে ভাবিলে যে এটা ওটা প্রজাতি লেখিদেলু হইগলা মু গোটা খবর কাগজ লেখিদেলি প্রজাতি is wrong. Prajati in English, you should have technical expertise when you are translating technical words. Prajati means genus. Prajati in English we can say genus. Below it is species. Coronavirus, coronaviridi is the name of the species. ता species ना ता जाति ना हो जाति ता ऊपर गला प्रजाति ता तळुगु आसुची variant रे मु कहूची भिन्न रूपी variants means भिन्न रूपी. Omicron is a variant of concern. Delta is a variant of concern. We are just writing in Greek words, alpha, beta, delta, gamma, like that. We have come up to Omicron. So Omicron has also sub-variants. Saha-Vinnarupi, we can say it. But our newspapers, you can listen to the news, the TV news or radio news. Variant ko Prajati kohuchon. They are telling it Prajati. Prajati is Monisha, Mankada, Bono Monisha hochoni gotiye Prajati. Monisha kiye? Monisha jati hochi Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens. Homo koile. If you say Homo, it is a Prajati. Para, Osta, au Dimri gacha hochi gote Prajati. Ficus, gote Prajati. Kintu jati hochi kona? Para koile ame kaya Ficus regalensis. Ame tar technical na deichu. Osta koile ame kaya Ficus religiosa. जो Dimri koile ame kaya Ficus glomerata. So, when we are writing technical words, translating technical words, we are writing technical words in English, it is okay. But Odia to understand us, in Odia, one has to know it properly. So proper writing is essential. It is essential in the textbooks. It is very much essential for the textbooks that we have to write it. Textbooks variant bhinna rupa. ये आमे जदि भिन्न रूप लिखिलु वेरिएशन माने भिन्नता भिन्न रूप तार गोटा गोटा कोविड रो गोटा भिन्न रूप ताका भीतर भिन्न रूप माने कोन दे हैव वेरी मच सिमिलरिटी खाली डिसिमिलरिटी होची ताकर खाली प्रोटीन वायरस तो जानिछथि यू नो वायरस हैज नथिंग वायरस हैज ओनली ये जो वायरस कोविड-19 वायरस गोटा आरएनए अछि ओनली आरएनए एंड प्रोटीन कोड हो सब मूलर रोग मूलर आरंभ होची से जाय अटैच कर दोची हमर सेल को आमर जो रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम सेल को अटैच कर दोची अटैच करके से बाहर रह जाउची भीतर को चल जाउची दी न्यूक्लिक एसिड आरएनए इज गोइंग इनटू दैट द वेरी पिकुलियर आरएनए मु सेउडा कहबिनी से आरएनए बहुत सो वन शुड अंडरस्टैंड माय पॉइंट इज टू टेल यू दैट textbook when we are translating we should be very much adept. We should know the language, we should know the meaning, we should know the meaning of the technical words. Jati prajati jemti mu deli example. So these are the needs. So what are the perspectives? Prospect upon Koiparandi, one you can say that prospect there are machines. Now everything is done by machines. If I have a smartphone, I can do everything. You can say, but no. I am using a smartphone. I am using an iPhone. But the translation I get from that words very peculiar, very peculiar. Machine cannot be a substitute of. Machine cannot be a substitute of the person or the script that you are writing. Machine cannot be the script in translating the script is very text the translated language is very essential, so one should follow. So there are so many perspectives. If I will tell you the points that legal translation, what you can choose: legal translation, corporate translation, marketing translation, business translation, financial translation, book translation. I have done this book translation. I am not a translator by choice like you. You have come for a workshop. I have not attended any workshop. I am a translator by chance because of the courtesy of this National Translation Mission. I am translating books. Translating books that I have translated. Once there are some history behind it. How I am a translator. How I am a translator. I am a translator by chance, not by choice. Not by choice. By chance means sometime back, some years back, the director of AIDS cell, an IAS officer, wanted to translate an AIDS book in Odia. Because during that time now AIDS is now becoming an endemic disease. It is not spreading in India like what it was being 2007, 2013. That was the peak period. Now it is declining. It is now becoming just like this flus. So AIDS book, she wanted to translate AIDS book. She didn't know anything about AIDS. Is also caused due to a virus, HIV virus. I explained her about the virus. I had a teacher. She was the chairperson of one council. She told that director AirCell that he is the person he can trust. I explained them about that virus, how AIDS is being spread. I explained them everything because I know the basics of it. I have read about the viruses. I did my specialization. I did my PhD. I did 15 years of research in microbiology, so I know it. So I explained about the virus. Then she told that you are the fit person to translate that book in Odia. I told, no, madam. I very humbly told, no, madam, I can't do it. So why? She asked me why. I told, you see, I am not an expert. I am not a doctor. I am just a postgraduate. I did some research work. I can do it. So then she wanted, please suggest me some name of some doctors. I told some very popular doctors who can write very well in Odia. They are just the masters in Odia language, Sanskrit language. So I suggested their names, and the book was translated. Unluckily, I could not have this book. It is somewhere missing. Some nearly 20 years back. Then, when I retired, once I was called by OPEPA. We have here OPEPA, and there is open school. One can sit for open school. They have higher secondary level biology book. So he wanted the book to be translated, and he gave me time that during this 1 year you have to translate these 3 books. 3 books I have to translate. So I told I do want some people to with me. I took some persons, some people, like-minded people who can translate, and you may not believe that during the time of Botany was raging. Botany was devastating in Bhubaneswar. And there was no light. But I told him December 31st I will submit the translated scripts. So I had to burn the candle in the middle of the daytime. I had to light the candle and I have to translate because the person, those who I did engage, they could not do the work satisfactorily. They could complete it. So I told him October, November, December, I have to, in 2 months, I have to finish. December 31st, I have to submit. So 3 books within 2 years, I think we could translate the book, and that book is now is read by the students of Odisha. Then the third book, the present book. Present book, I was interested. There was some or other translation mission has remembered me. They asked me to translate this book. During our time, when we are students in degree stages, these books are very popular. Das Ganguly Datta, when we say we don't know the book College Botany, Das Ganguly Datta book, we share just those books. Very costly during that time. Now it is not that costly because now money has been devalued. So we are just sharing the book. That book, when I was suggested, I readily agreed because I liked that book. I followed that book. I had 1 or 2 volumes of that book with me during that time. So I readily agreed. And one book is nearly 1,000 pages. One volume is 1,000 pages. Another volume is nearly 1,500 pages. Another volume is nearly 600 some odd pages. So nearly 3,000 pages. I was engaged in the year 2017. Now you see this is 2022. Still my translation work is not yet complete. I am translating the books, and these three books, some or other I am involved in the those who are who opt for teaching in the secondary stages. Secondary stages, there is an eligibility test. Senior secondary teachers, Odisha secondary teachers eligibility test. We have framed its syllabus. The syllabus is mainly revolving around this book, College Botany book, and thousands of students, thousands of teachers all over the Odisha every year appear, and I recommended this book. This book, College Botany book, as only textbook, only reference book for their examination. They have to refer only this book for their exam. But 17, I think that the eligibility test started in the year 18, and now 4 or 5 years has gone. But our translation process is just going on. It is completed. Translation work is completed. It is in the final step. I feel that during this year, 2022, this College Botany book will see at least 2 volumes of book, volume 1 and volume 2 will see the light of the day. So that will be in the stands in the Odisha bookstores. So these are the 3 books. And lastly, after this talk, I know that you are doing some translation work. You are doing some translation work. I have also some translation work for you, sample translation passage, and that is in the second paragraph of the second volume book of the second volume. This is very, very complicated. Second paragraph, first sentence is only 1 sentence. First paragraph is only 1 sentence. In the second volume of Das Ganguly Datta book, revised edition, first paragraph is only 1 sentence. But the second paragraph is a very lengthy one and very complicated. That complicated that I think it is time, but I will only 1 sentence I will read. You can imagine how complicated it is. That the conditions under which life might be supposed to have arisen must have been quite different from those prevailing at the time, that need not be presumed to have been necessary, that amino acids can be produced from inorganic materials in an environment in which the attempt is made to approximately to such conditions that earliest living materials need not have possessed capacity for photosynthesis. You can see how complicated it is. But when I have translated it, I have simplified it because I understand. I am a technical person. I know the subject. I have made it simpler. That all conditions under which life might have supposed to have arisen, ଯେଉଁ ସବୁ ଅବସ୍ଥା ଦେଇ ଜୀବନର ଉତ୍ପତ୍ତି ହୋଇଛି ବୋଲି ଆମେ ମନେ କରାଯାଉଛି ଜୀବନର ଉତ୍ପତ୍ତି ଯେଉଁ ସବୁ ଅବସ୍ଥା ଦେଇ that life nearly 4,005 billion years back, this earth originated, life originated nearly 3.9 billion years back. So many things are there. So I know this thing. ଯେଉଁ ସବୁ ଅବସ୍ଥା ଦେଇ when it was earth was originated, it was a gaseous mass, gradually it liquefied, it was a very hot soup. So all these things ଯେଉଁ ସବୁ ଅବସ୍ଥା ଦେଇ ଜୀବନର ଉତ୍ପତ୍ତି ହୋଇଛି ବୋଲି ମନେ କରାଯାଉଛି ତାହା ତତ୍କାଳୀନ ବଳବତ୍ତର ଥିବା ଅବସ୍ଥା ଠାରୁ ଅନେକାଂଶରେ ପୃଥକ ହୋଇପାରେ। ମୁଁ ତାକୁ ସେଣ୍ଟେନ୍ସକୁ ଆଇ ଡିଡଣ୍ଟ ଏକ୍ସପାଣ୍ଡ, ସେ ଯେମିତି ଏକ୍ସପାଣ୍ଡ କରିଛନ୍ତି ମୁଁ ଛୋଟିଆ ଛୋଟିଆ ସେଣ୍ଟେନ୍ସ କରିକି ମୁଁ ତାକୁ ବୁଝେଇ ଦେଇଛି। ସୋ ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ ଏ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସକ୍ରିପସନ, ନଟ୍ ଏ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନ। ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ ଏ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସକ୍ରିପସନ। ଯେଉଁ ସବୁ ଅବସ୍ଥା ଦେଇ ଜୀବନର ଉତ୍ପତ୍ତି ହୋଇଛି ବୋଲି ମନେ କରାଯାଉଛି ତାହା ତତ୍କାଳୀନ ବଳବତ୍ତର ଥିବା ଅବସ୍ଥା ଠାରୁ ଯାହା ଆମେ ମନେ କରୁଛୁ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ମେ ବି ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ। ଯେ ସେଇ ଅବସ୍ଥା ଗୁଡିକର ପରିକଳ୍ପନା କରିବା ଆବଶ୍ୟକ ମନେ ହୁଏ ନାହିଁ। ତାକୁ ଆଉ ଆମେ ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ। ଏକ ପରିବେଶରେ ଅଜୈବ ଉପାଦାନରୁ ଆମିନୋ ଅମ୍ଳ, ପ୍ରଥମେ ଆମିନୋ ଅମ୍ଳରେ amino acid was created. Amino acid can be synthesized in the laboratory. You may be knowing that scientists have synthesized amino acid. Scientists have even synthesized the proteins. Protein is the functional molecule of life. Protein has been synthesized, but how these proteins, amino acids, so sleekly, so fast, so proficiently synthesized, that is not being done. That's why life is still a puzzle. How life has originated, still a puzzle. So same the translation, you can try it later. That is the first paragraph. So this is my talk. Needs and perspective of translating non-literary textbooks in vernacular languages. So ओडिया रे केमिति language को आमे translate करिवा. So thank you very much. Thank you National Translation for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was highly enriching and enlightening, and it was a lecture from a different flow actually. And this is the first lecture from of this training program on non-literary translation. And thank you, sir, so much, because you gave live examples, from the field. Actually, you cited many examples from the field that you had experienced and that you are experiencing. Now, with this, I would like to request our participants, if they have some questions, they can ask it now.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Sir, like you have told that regarding the technical term, so like from translating one language to another language. Suppose if I want to translate from English to Hindi to English, so like one is written as in numerical, we will be writing as in Hindi 1, 2, 3 as it is. So likewise in science subject, like CH, like CO2 or O2, that terms will be written as it is. And in mathematical also the symbols will be written as it is. How that one?
That is CM. My point is, when I was editor Vigyan Diganta, I was writing CM.
As it is.
These words cannot be substituted. The engineering science is being translated. Engineering text are being translated. But this is MI unit. One has to follow. So CM, don't give any space. CM, no dot, nothing. PM, no space. So meter, M, no space, no dot. Likewise DNA, no space. So now this is the modern formula of writing. No space, no dot, nothing. It is to be written in continuity. MI, that is being followed by universal. That universally we have to accept it. Technical terms we have to accept.
International. It is the international norm, to keep equation formula in English.
Yes.
We retain it actually.
That can be supposing CO2 H2O is equal to H2CO3. You can say carbon dioxide means Angarakam, Jala, H2 carbonic acid ଆମେ ଆଉ carbonic acid ଆଉ ଓଡିଆ ତ ପାଇବେନି H2CO3 ଆଉ ଓଡିଆ ନାହିଁ ମୁଁ ଜଳ କହିଦେବି H2O ଜଳ କହିଦେବି but water ଜଳ ଲେଖିବାକୁ ପଡିବ ସେଇଟା ଠିକ ଅଛି H2O ର ଆଉ there is no substitute for H2O there is no substitute for CO2
Yeah, Dr. Sampada, yeah, please.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this for Marathi, no, oxygen we have pranavayu. So while translate, yeah, for oxygen we have a equivalent word as a pranavayu. So in a book we can write it as oxygen, but in the literary translation we should write pranavayu. Is it like that?
You see, we have very good words. Oxygen, amlojana. Oxygen is very good. Everybody understands oxygen. Oxygen cylinder darkar. Oxygen delta hota everybody knows about oxygen. Oxygen nine. Oxygen kono kete level hoiba kata anything we don't know. Oximeter, oxygen. Oximeter what is the Odia? What is the Marathi word? So oximeter. Oxygen. That is very time केते हेलानी हमर जे हळ कला लोक भी टाइम केते हेलानी से आकाश को देखि कहि दउची एतरा बाटा बाजथिबो 10टा बाजथिबो एमते कहि दउची सो टाइम so there are some words you can take it granted but there are very good words oxygen हमर ओडिया रे I think in Marathi it must be also amlojana so by translating in non technical how we can inhale exhale आमे इंग्रजी रे जानछि inhale माने in Odia, what will say? Any Odia people? Inhale. Nishwasa kaiva na praswasa kaiva?
Shwas and uchwas.
Shwas nahi.
Shwas and uchwas.
Inhale hoche praswas. ମୁଁ ବହୁତ ଦିନ ଯାଏ ଜାଣିଥିଲି ଓଡିଆ ଯେହେତୁ ଇଂରାଜୀ ମୁଁ ଇଏ କରୁଥିଲି when I was conversant with inhale exhale କହିଦଉ inhale means ପ୍ରଶ୍ୱାସ ନିଶ୍ୱାସ ହଉଛି ଛାଡିବା ପ୍ରଶ୍ୱାସ ହଉଛି ନବା କାର୍ବନ ଡାଇଅକ୍ସାଇଡ ଆମେ ଛାଡୁଛେ that is ନିଶ୍ୱାସ ପ୍ରଶ୍ୱାସ ମାନେ ନନ୍ ଟେକ୍ନିକାଲ ଟାକୁ ଓଡିଆ କଲେ ଆମେ କନସେପ୍ଟ ଟାକୁ ବୁଝିପାରିବା ସହଜ ହବ it should be translated into mother tongue ମୁଁ ତ ବୁଝିନଥିଲି ମୁଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଲେଖିଲି ମୁଁ କହିଲି ସେ ପଚାରିଲି what is this ନା that is ପ୍ରଶ୍ୱାସ ମୁଁ କହିଲି ମୁଁ ତ ନିଶ୍ୱାସ କହୁଛି ନିଶ୍ୱାସ ନ ମୋ ନିଶ୍ୱାସ ବନ୍ଦ ହେଇଗଲା ମୋ ପ୍ରଶ୍ୱାସ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ବନ୍ଦ ହେଲେ ମୁଁ ମରିବି ମୋ ନିଶ୍ୱାସ ବନ୍ଦ ହେଲେ ମୁଁ ମରିବିନି if I will die if my inhalation will be stopped oxygen ପାଇବନି ମୋ body oxygen ନ ପାଇଲେ 3 ମିନିଟ ରୁ ଅଧିକ ଜଣେ ଭଲ ଲୋକ ବଞ୍ଚି ପାରିବନି ମୁଁ ତ କମ ସମୟରେ ମରିଯିବି I am a very senior person so one should understand by from the mother tongue only so that is the meaning
Yeah. So
Thank you very much.
yeah, here the point is, we also need to follow what is the target norm. If people are used to for oxygen as oxygen in Odia, Marathi, Hindi, let's accept it as oxygen.
yes.
I want to extend this question further. Like I'm still a struggling translator, but still I do many education. I have done many educational and technical translation. So while doing that, means I translate from English to Marathi. So while doing that, I find that people use many English words in day-to-day language. So if I translate them, I try to translate them beautifully in the target language. Many the common people will not understand them because they are using the English word. So is it fair that we keep the transliteration as it is? Yeah, that's my question.
Yes.
How much transliteration should be used? That's my question to sir.
Yeah.
For common man you see we didn't know about oxygen for a very long time during this delta phase when there was oxygen very high oxygen demand every oxygen tanker oxygen cylinder oximeter everything everybody oxygen taro amlojana ke bujhi one may not be knowing the meaning of it but we understand that is very essential for our life we inhale it that is very essential for our lungs so many things we don't understand but we accept it
Mostly I have this problem when I'm translating some terms related to IT, like computer and
Yes.
hard disk and
Right.
this kind of. So,
You
common
can
people are
use
going to
safely-
understand. Yeah.
You can safely write, no problem. Technical
Yeah.
word it can be
Yeah,
used
yeah.
there.
Computer, you can write as computer. In download, shut down, you know.
Yes, yes. That is the substitution for download.
Right.
No. Yeah, but one time one of the I was have done a small translation for a mobile company. So you know the mobile environment, there is a option of many languages right now. So sometimes I feel that these words are not accept means common people won't understand this word. But so I kept the transliteration and they have rejected my work. So that's
Yeah,
why.
right.
Yeah.
So the point is, you know, what is in use? What is in use, you know, matters a lot. You know,
Right.
even you know, it
Right.
matters more than what is prescribed. So
Right.
we actually go by usage actually,
Yeah.
target usage.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I can also, you know, give you one example like a switch, SWITC, a switch, you know,
Yes.
this switch. You know, everybody is using, yeah, the switch, a switch. But you know, I have heard about one, you know, event, you know, that happened in Kerala. There was a translation team, you know, and they, you know, tried to give, equivalent for each and every technical word. And for switch also, they try to give a lengthy, you know, descriptive word. You might have heard that, you know, Vidyut, Agama, Nigama, Niyantrana, Yantra kind of, right? And that was failed. That was failed. People, you know, did not accept it. So switch is switch. What is the problem with that?
Right. Right. Most common is share it. Means which like, share and subscribe. So Marathi in Marathi if has a Samayik kara. Samayik is doesn't sound very good. Means and
Yes.
it conveys a very different meaning. Samayik
Right.
means share your means
Yeah.
make something common to everyone like that.
Yeah.
So share does a I'm not finding a good word
Yeah.
for doing a share.
Yeah, that's why, you know, our language should be open-ended actually, not a closed one. You know,
Yes. Yes.
you know, so that
Thank you
more
so
number
much.
of words we can accept from other languages and we can use it, and we can enrich our mother tongue.
Yes, I got many inputs today for my future work. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I am Master
Good
Vigna.
that, sir, you gave live examples actually. You know how, you know, what is that? Genentech, you know, become genetic. You know,
Genetics.
my goodness.
Translation is in our DNA. Translation is not your mission. That is in our DNA. That my
Yes.
point is to tell you. That is in our DNA. DNA translates. But to
Yes.
speak of you people. So that is my point is to highlight this thing also.
Yes.
Only.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.